Hello and welcome back to another merchandise review from White Album 2. Now we're going to be reviewing an official product today, and this is kind of the storyboards for the introductions from White Album 2. This novel includes both the introduction to the PS3 version of the Introductory Chapter and also the closing chapter. So let's take a look. So starting out, White Album 2, and these are the opening anime contents. So you can see it has all of our heroines here, the main two, as well as the three side heroines. Beautiful, beautiful art. And since this is an official product, it's going to only have official art. Everything in here is canon. This is not fanon, which is always fun. You get to see a little bit behind the scenes, what they were doing, what they were thinking, and that's so much fun. So, unlike a lot of Japanese books, this one actually reads from left to right, which is pretty rare as far as these go. So, Chapter 1, the storyboard. So we're starting with Introductory Chapter. Now, the thing with this introductory chapter that you need to keep in mind is that in the original game, in the PC version of the introductory chapter, the intro was just a slideshow. And of course, back then, the budget for White Album 2 was not nearly as high as it was when the PS3 version came out, because the PS3 version came out 2 years later. So, this is specifically the opening for the PS3, the one that was actually animated. And they show frame by frame kind of how they decided to do it. So Setsuna turning around, smiling, giving the cute little blink there, as well as the small notes that just say like what she's doing and what the creators should remember and keep in mind while they're animating. So it's really neat to kind of be able to check out how this came to be and then compare this to the introduction. I highly, highly recommend taking a look at this book at the same time that you play the anime opening or the animated opening online. It is very, very cool to see. Just with these teeny little sketches, you know, they're not that detailed. They're not intricate at all. And yet the artists made it into such a beautiful opening. So yeah, 100%. And you can tell where they really, really wanted to get their point across, like Kazusa sleeping on the desk is much more detailed here, as well as playing the piano. Compared to some of the earlier shots, it's a lot more intricate and drawn out. And they even, what is nice is they even left in their mistakes. So here it's scratched out when it says to pan up because they decided against it. They decided to leave it as a still shot. And then switch to her looking up. I love things like this. I love seeing it. These sketches are so nice. Setsuna at the park with her glasses and braids. I love it so much. And see here, they even decided to cross out an entire picture. But rather than leave it out, because it wasn't eventually used, they decided to keep it in, give us a little bonus peek behind the scenes. So I do appreciate that very much. That's what's fun about these books, is you get to see what might have been and kind of imagine like, well, what if they left that in? Obviously, things like this are a little more inconsequential, but like character designs, for example, seeing which ones didn't actually make it into the anime is very cool. I love that. Of course, the snowy days, always important. They took out this snowy day, though. So very cool. If I remember correctly, the introduction is about 60 seconds in total. No more than a minute and a half, to be sure. And yet so much planning, so much work went into it. And I do love that. The animators obviously took their own ideas and like expanded on these, but this was, you know, the original intention for the introduction. So that's really nice. Setsuna freezing up on stage. Beautiful girl. And then her overhearing Kazusa. Like, it's cool that in the introduction at this point, because the game had been out for about 2 years, I feel like they made the introduction a little bit more spoilerish. Like, obviously, as you're playing through the game, you'll probably forget or not really connect the dots. But watching this after you've already played through the game, which I highly recommend you do, is very emotional. It's so good. It's so cool. It's extremely well done. So after looking through that, after that ends, and there it is, that's the end. So that was a total of 32 pages, 32 little storyboards for that one opening. Then it moves on to chapter 2. So chapter 2 in this case is the closing chapter. And this one, when it was released on the PC, they knew that White Album 2 got really popular, and they were like, okay, well, let's go ahead and animate the opening for this part. So this one might look a lot more familiar to you, especially if you did only stick to the PC versions. So you can see the hand holding, the snow coming down. It's a lot more detailed. I'm sure, again, because the budget was higher at that point, they had time to really kind of flesh this out a little bit more. And so here's some of the panels are a little bit scribbly, as you can see. But then, moving on, these are detailed. These are very, very detailed as far as storyboard goes. They put a lot of effort into that. And then silly, sketchy face here. But yeah, if you ever looked up anime storyboards, these are intricate. These are a lot more intricate than one would expect. And I do think it's because the pressure was kind of on. Once you got to that point, once you got to the closing chapter, they're like, okay, this is real. The fans love it. They're very excited for this. Koharu, she's so cute. I mean, these storyboards even have backgrounds. That's incredible. Although if you do notice in this background, they use a real place. That's a photograph. It's an actual photograph of a place. Oh yeah, Mari-san. And although the concepts are the same, some of the things are different. Like if you look in the actual animated opening for this, it's not an overhead view here. It's more of a side view of her stretching. So it is kind of cool to, again, go back, watch that, take a look at the differences that ended up being in that introduction, because there are a lot of differences. Of course, this part's very important, so it's fleshed out a bit more. Toma playing her guitar. And this part is always so powerful. The singing on the rooftop. Oh, so good. And then white out in English. So that's basically the premise of this book, is really just all of the scenes from the game that were put through the introduction, which is nice. And even reading through this, I can hear the introductory music in my head. It's so well done. They did such a good job with it. Any introduction you can listen to more than the first episode, you know it's good. You know they did a good job. And so then chapter 3 is a little bit of a bonus, just a couple of pages long, but these are some rough sketches, which I love. So we have Setsuna here, Setsuna and her concert outfit there, and then Kazusa in Kazusa's concert outfit. So very cool for the two of them there. Then moving on, we have Setsuna in kind of her nicer clothes, her non-school clothes, and then a bunch of expression study. And I love expression studies. It's fun to kind of see it. Kazusa in her street clothes there, as well as Kazusa's expressions, which we all most likely know very well at this point. We cover Haruki, Koharu, and And finally, Chiaki and Mari-san. So these are really cool. I love seeing the full sketches. Giving these types of things to the storyboard artists really helps them to kind of animate it and see, okay, well, when they're pensive, they look like this. When they're mad, they look like this. So this is a very common way to kind of give the storyboard, not the storyboard artists, but the ones who work from the storyboard and have to really animate it. This gives them a better idea of what the characters should look like. Beyond just the single picture, of course. And then finally we have White Album 2, the two main heroines, and then just the information on the company itself. Of course, this being an official Aqua Plus product, because it is the storyboard book for the opening animations. And then White Album 2, Shiawase no Mukogawa, the other side of happiness. So, thank you so much for joining me on this product review today. I will be reviewing other White Album 2 products in the future, so I hope to see you then. And until then, I hope you take care. See you!